Hi everyone! Today I want to show you how to make this really cute love you card. The idea for this card came from an art project that my daughter brought home from school. Super cute. I love her little art projects. She told me that they cut out a heart with paper and traced it multiple times on their background, and they used just regular markers and made patterns and then used a watercolor paintbrush to smear the patterns to make this really pretty soft effect. I thought it was super cute and wanted to try it myself. I did not want to just cut out a heart to trace though, because I knew I had tons of heart shapes. I have framelits, or you can use a paper punch and punch out a heart. I went with the framelits. They're really easy to trace and they're perfect for this project. Another great thing about our heart framelits, these are the Sweet and Sassy, is they come in so many sizes, so you can really have a wide variety of heart sizes. And I went with this one. It's pretty middle of the road heart. Okay, so I used watercolor paper, placed my framelit down, and just traced using a thin Sharpie. In places where they might overlap, I just didn't trace that area. I just moved it around my paper. You can make about 5 or 6 hearts. I was not being a perfectionist with this card. I wanted it to have, I loved my daughter's, and it was very handmade and rustic looking, and I thought it was so cute, so no perfectionists here on this one. So just trace this randomly a few times onto your watercolor paper. And then I chose some colors of marker from the pinks family. This time I used all pinks. I decided to throw in some of this, this is Wisteria Wonder this time. And you're just going to make some random patterns. Make some stripes, some circles, some swirls, whatever you feel like making. And it's really simple. There's a brush tip and a fine tip, and I used both tips when making this. Sometimes I just went with something simple, like a bold stripe. That is a fast one. Another time I went with the fine tip, and I did some little curly cues like this. That's fun. You can just do that all the way across. Another thing you can make are scales, like a mermaid tail, and I did some like that with the fine tip. And another easy one is polka dots. That's a simple one. I might use the brush tip for that. And something else for this one. I'm not quite sure. Zigzags, little checkerboard, whatever you like. And you can just fill in all of your hearts. Once you've got them all filled in, you're going to use an aqua painter to give that blurred watercolor look. Stampin' Up aqua painters come in a 2-pack. And you get one that's got a smaller brush tip and one that has a larger brush tip. We're going to use this one because it is the one that has water in it. And you're just going to simply squeeze the barrel slightly to get some of the water flowing. You don't want to oversaturate this because you don't want your colors to smear too much. I'm going to say one thing about aqua painters real quick. I bought some really cheap ones at a craft store for my children, because they always were coming in and taking my aqua painters, and I love my aqua painters. And so I didn't want them to do that, and I happened to be at a craft store and I saw a pack of like 4 or 5 came together, and I thought, oh cool, and I bought them. And what I didn't realize is they were not as well made. They don't have this rubber gasket, and when the kids would, sometimes they'd be okay, and sometimes they'd just squeeze just a little too much and the water would just come running out and ruin their project. And even I used it once when I couldn't find my aqua painter, and the same thing happened to me. And I'm always I'm used to aqua painters and I'm careful, and I still had a hard time with them. So sometimes you just need to get the better ones and go with the one from Stampin' Up. They have the little gasket in there, and it really helps with the flow of water. So anyway, my tip is, I think, sufficiently moist, and we're going to go ahead and blend the colors. I'm going to start here with the Wisteria. If you think it's getting too wet, you can always get some of the water off on your scratch paper. There. So I didn't get the sides very well. Okay. And then I'm going to go to a different color. So I just kind of go like this a little bit to get the Wisteria Wonder off my brush tip. And then I'm going to move to a farther one to let that wisteria dry a little bit. I think this one is Calypso Coral. And there you go. You don't want to have you don't want your brush to be too wet with this particular project, because you don't want the hearts to start to smear together. So I am being a little cautious near the edges of the colors, and with putting too much water on the brush tip. Some colors are going to blend more than others. This one has a lot of white background, so it's just going to give those little polka dots a softer look with the watercoloring, but the heart's going to mostly stay white. And some just tend to bleed a little differently than others. There we go. This one is Watermelon Wonder. And the last one I think is Flirty Flamingo, a little quilted pillow top pattern. Okay, now if you decide some of your colors are too light, you can add some more color by either using ink from the lid of your ink pad, if you want to do that. Like here's Pink Pirouette, and I think I might add a little bit more Pink Pirouette to this one. It's very pale. I didn't want to have two super pale ones next to each other. Okay. You can still see the polka dots peeking in there, but I'm just adding a little bit more pink. Okay, that's it for the watercoloring. Next I needed to add a sentiment, and I looked through my sentiment collection. I'm not sure if you're aware, but I wanted to point out that Stampin' Up! Catalog has an area in the back that's a stamp index, and part of that is an index of sentiments, stamps that are predominantly sentiments. So you can look through this and check out your collection and see what's missing. Like maybe you don't have a love or enough thanks, or you don't have a certain type of birthday that you want. This will give you a good idea of what fonts are out there and what sayings are out there, and you can look for holes in your collection and maybe pick up some of these sentiment stamps. I found this Love You in the Baby Bear stamp set. You can find interesting. This one has a lot of sentiments in it, and I thought that Love You was really cute. It looked almost hand done, and that's what I'm going for. I'm looking for kind of a hand done rustic-y look. I used a little scrap that I had left over from my watercolor paper and some basic black ink, and stamped I Love You right in the center. I used the triple banner punch to flag the ends. I love this punch. I think it's kind of an essential punch, really. But it comes with notches for 1 inch, 1.5, and 2 inches, and I wanted a 3/4 inch pennant flag thingy. So I used a Sharpie to create my own 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch markings on the back so that I can easily punch out those sizes as well. There you go. So there's my Love You. I used a card base of Watermelon Wonder, folded and scored. There you go. And I attached my watercolor panel with dimensionals. But first, I tied a cute little ribbon around the card. This is baker's twine, and I went around a couple times. And I just tied a sweet little bow off to one side. And then I added some dimensionals to the back of my card base and my little sentiment. Dimensionals are these little puffy adhesive stickers, and I go through quite a lot of those. There you go. I would love for you, I'm going to talk while I take off the stickers. I would love for you to visit my blog sometime at www.bethspapercuts.com. And if you do go there and you don't have a demonstrator, you can shop straight from my blog as well. I also have a frequent buyer program that offers you some freebies after some purchases, and I'd love for you to check that out. There's a little form you can download and print out to keep track of your sales purchases, and then you'll know when you're qualifying. So here it is, my sweet little Love You watercolor card using a framelit as a template. I think it's really cute and simple, and I think Valentine's Day is one of those handmade kind of, not that, I mean, all my cards are handmade, but this is a very rustic little handmade card that's really sweet and right from the heart, don't you think? I thought I would show you a couple other things I did with framelit tracing. This one is butterflies, and I traced them. This time I overlapped the butterflies, and I think that turned out really nicely. And I did this one with hearts where I overlapped them. And I'm going to do a video on this because the painting is a little trickier. But there you have it. There are some watercolor framelit stencils. And you can look through your stencil collection and see what kind of shapes you have. Think of fall leaves would be really pretty with different shades of oranges and some rust and some golden colors, and you can have really pretty fall leaves. And I think that there's a lot you can do with your framelits besides using them the standard way to cut out your shapes. So thanks for watching. I hope you'll stop by my blog. Again, it's www.bethspapercuts.com, and I hope to help you in any way you can. Thanks. Bye-bye.